One of the most daunting things that's out there is being able to know what level of income that you're going to retire on. It's a scary thing to find out that you've got to the end of your working career and you may or may not have secured your financial freedom for your retirement. I was doing a bit of reading the other day and I really wanted to understand how much the pension actually provided you versus what investments do you need to supplement the level of pension that you get paid. So I just wanted to see what level of assets are required from a pension perspective if you were to own, say, a couple of properties, how much income they would provide versus how much the pension would provide. I'm Jeremy Iannuzzelli, and welcome to What School Should Have Taught You, a podcast where I share with you all the lessons you need to know about building true wealth.
Everything school should have taught you in one place. With a property portfolio of over 17 million and an accountancy firm of over 16,000 clients, as well as being an accountant to some of the wealthiest people in Australia, Jeremy Iannuzzelli will be sharing his lessons on everything school should have taught you so you can build the life you want.
Today, I just want to go through a couple of my own findings that I've been spending some time reading about the pension. And I was shocked to see what level of assets are required to supplement the level of pension the government provides you. Now, I don't regularly do this on the show, but I've brought my computer in with me because I just wanted to make sure that when I share these numbers with you, I get the facts and numbers correct. So what I wanted to do is I wanted to share with you what are the limits, and there's two different limits for the pension test. There's the income limit and the asset limit, but I want to predominantly talk to you today about the asset test. Now, the asset test is the amount of assets you can have outside your own home because your own home is exempt for the asset test, which is fantastic. Although some people deem it not to be fair because some people might have a value of their home being worth millions and some people might have hundreds of thousands. But for all intensive purposes, your own home is exempt from the asset test. There's a lot of planning you can do with accountants and financial planners for this, so it's imperative you listen to what I say today, take the best bits out of it, do your own research and make sure you speak to your own professionals. But I wanted to share with you this. If you're a single person eligible for the pension and you own your own home, you can have assets outside your own home worth $314,000. That includes superannuation, cash at bank, shares, or any other assets that you might have lying around your home. If you're a non-homeowner, so for argument's sake, you're renting a property, you can have up to $566,000 of assets and you'll still receive the full pension. If you're a single homeowner and you've got enough assets where you still can receive the full pension, you will receive $29,754.40 per year. So that's a single person who is a homeowner with assets less than $314,000. If you're a single non-homeowner with less than $566,000 worth of assets, you will receive, again, that same amount, which is the $29,754.40. So not a bad amount of money. Now, if you've got, say, $1 million worth of assets with a net return of 3%, so we could be having $1 million worth of assets, attaining, say, $40,000 a year worth of rent, say $800 roughly per week, less the cost to maintain that property, which could be council rates, water rates, property agent fees, insurances and repairs and maintenance. Generally, $1 million property will give you about 3% net income, which is about 30 grand. So you have worked your entire life, you're renting a property, say for argument's sake, you've got $1 million worth of assets outside your own home or outside the property you're renting. You're not eligible for a pension because the pension actually cuts off in full for a single non-homeowner at $947,000 or cuts off in full for a homeowner at $695,000. So having $1 million worth of assets that cuts your pension off altogether, you're actually not going to be in a better position. You've worked incredibly hard and you're only really truly receiving the same amount of net income that a pensioner would receive. Now that's on a cash flow point of view. However, you still have the capital growth, you still have the ability to liquidate that asset and get $1 million worth of funds potentially unencumbered. So from a cash flow perspective, you're not going to be better off than a pensioner who's receiving solely just the pension. But at the same time, you still have the asset base which you can liquidate and utilize. And as you start to whittle down that asset base, that cash at bank potentially, then the pension may kick in. So I'm not saying don't go out there, invest and just wait for the pension, but I'm saying from a cash flow point of view, the pension that a homeowner or non-homeowner will receive if they have assets less than the asset test, will be equivalent to $1 million worth of assets that you're holding where you're not eligible for a pension. Now, I just want to bring that to light now if you're a couple. If you're a couple and you've got less than the combined level of assets for the asset test, your pension will approximately be, at present, $44,855.20. Now, again, that would require your $1 million asset, which cuts you off from having a pension as a couple, equating to having a 4.5% net yield. So generally speaking, that may require your $1 million worth of assets achieving a 6% gross yield. However, in most circumstances, it probably won't be achievable. So you may need about $1.2 to $1.4 million worth of assets to achieve the same level of pension than a couple that does not have that asset base. So it's important to understand that when you're building a portfolio of equities, managed funds, or assets such as properties, and you're not looking to rely on the pension, you really need to strive for a lot bigger asset base. Because in some circumstances, the asset base that you've acquired may not be equivalent on a cash flow basis to what the pension provides you. Although you still have the ability to sell that asset base, utilize that money the way you wish to, and then after a while, you may start to cut in for a part pension and then a full pension over time. So it's important to understand if you're looking at purely cash flow, especially moving forward to your retirement, you really need to make sure that you've got the asset base or the quality of assets or the type of assets that are really superseding the level of pension that you receive. Because you don't want to get into a position where the pension is paying more than what your assets are providing. And it could mean that the best position you're in could be to sell those particular assets and utilize the capital to live with a part pension and full pension kicking in over time. So just to repeat, I'm not saying go out there and blow all your money while you're working and rely on a pension, because I still believe what the pension pays is not enough to have a successful and fruitful retirement. It still requires you guys to make the right decisions early on so you are setting yourself up for that financial freedom. But it's imperative to understand that the asset base that you've accumulated needs to be working to its fullest potential, because you can see very clearly for a couple, pension pays roughly 45 grand, which is equivalent to having around about $1.2 to $1.4 million worth of asset base, achieving about, give or take, a 6% gross yield, less the expenses, and that gives you your $45,000. That's just some food for thought. And I do encourage you to make sure that you are speaking with your financial planners and your accountants as you're getting closer to retirement, because there are some great tools out there such as contributions to super and building up your wealth in an entity which is very tax incentivized, lower tax rates going in, no tax rates at pension phase, and it may give you the opportunity where you can start to earn money in super tax-free at pension phase, of course, draw down a supplementary amount of income from the stream that it's providing, and that's going to give you a significantly better future if you've done things right throughout the journey of your investment career and your working career as well. So I just wanted to share that with you all today, because I found it so interesting that at $29,000 for a single homeowner, under $314,000 worth of assets, that would equate to roughly about $1 million worth of assets on the outside for a like-for-like cash flow perspective. If you're a couple and the pension pays 45 grand and your assets as a couple is below the asset test, then you really need to make sure that you've got roughly around about $1.2 to $1.4 million worth of assets from a cash flow perspective to be equivalent with what the pension is providing you as a net level of income. So that planning starts early. Don't leave this too late. I think it's always good to make sure that you're speaking with your advisors, whether it's a financial planner or an accountant who knows the pension-based system, and really make sure that you've got your money being invested in the right level of assets during your working career, so that the pension isn't the only income that you rely on, but you rely on a very steady stream of income from your investments and also being incentivized in the right structures as well. I'm Jeremy Iannuzzelli, and that's what school should have taught you. Don't forget to smash that like button and subscribe button. Leave your comments below, and I look forward to talking to you in the next episode.